Hey,
Hey,
Brian
Brody.
Root too.
Hey, Brody.
You know
Do me a favor. Huh?
you're coming in with Brian Root every time too.
Yeah, yeah. Do me a favor and change my name to Mike.
I did, but I wonder how I can do it permanently, or is it just on your
Yeah, probably
phone?
because you set up an account. Maybe you could like add a user, or like in the settings or something,
Yeah,
in the administrative part or something.
right. I'll see what I
Or
can.
maybe I have to do it.
There's Cracker. I'm gonna go brush my hair. I'll be right back.
Uh,
Hey, Cracker Jack.
It's true because most of the people in the country, even back when they
how goes it?
Hey, Cracker Jack. All right. Let's see. I didn't hear what Cracker Jack said when he came in.
No, I don't know if that was him or I heard like some weird beeping noises.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, Big Mike.
Hey, buddy.
I'm thinking.
How you feeling tonight?
Good, man. Just driving home with my wife. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are the late nights.
Yeah, I know. You're gonna go make late night dinner. I know.
Yep.
Well, Brian, what's your assessment of what's going on? Is this playing out just as you guys thought it might? Because you do realize you're in a pantomime of play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They just decided this was a good time to give.
Well, it's 30. Are you guys aware of the 33 hoax code? 33.
Well, Mike was telling me about that.
Yeah, but are you aware? Have you heard of that before?
I mean, I know Kenny talks about the numbers 666 333, but it's
Well, 33 and multiples 11 are just over the top hoax code. Type in, here's another hoax code I gave you, at least 1500, at least 33. Type that into Google. You'll get a million different entries. Well, this is 33 days before the election, and he comes out and says he's got the COVID. As we all know, if you run the PCR test enough times, we all have it.
oh yeah, the papaya has it, the goat has it.
Right. What do you think this? How do you see the script playing out? Because I'm getting a lot of negativity from the people I ask what they think. You're not. I don't think
Well,
Mike's not gonna like it.
well, the only lingering question, and you might not like this, I told Brian earlier, is whether or not all the conspiracy theories make the Masons and 33 out to be a bad thing. But what if they're the good side? What if the 666 is one conspiracy and it's the bad side, and the number 33 represents the good side? Because after all, Jesus Christ died at the age of 33, right?
Well, it's all numerology that's code to just the people that are pretending to be Masons and pretending, if you believe the Jesuits are the master deceivers that run the world, and most of the
Right,
highly trained leaders are Jesuit trained, which
right,
indicates to me that they're in the business of running things. They are in the business of managing people. They're just some of the
right.
smartest people. There's always got to be some group that's on the top. It's just the
Yeah, let
natural
me
order of things.
let me add a thought to that, because I did think it was kind of interesting that the last two Supreme Court justices, Donald J. Trump selected were both Jesuits.
Right, and Donald J. Trump was trained at Fordham, which is a Jesuit school, and the Pope is a Jesuit.
Now he's
the first,
right
the
now
first.
he just chose another Catholic for the Supreme Court, the woman, and she's probably a Jesuit.
Right, or Jesuit trained. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with being Jesuit trained. It's just that they are the master deceivers, and they're the masters in leading and running things. It's not the Jews.
Right.
It's Jesuit trained people. There's lots of Jesuit trained Jews as well. So
right. Here's the other thing.
Top.
Right, but here's the other thing about that, and this is where it gets tricky. Look, we could just say, to keep it simple, that the beast power is the Roman Catholic papacy, right?
Right.
Rome,
right.
the papacy, right. they literally ran the world for, some 1,500 years, right? It's all in biblical prophecy. The whole thing about the Roman Catholic, church in terms of the, the papacy.
It was
right?
the first corporation. They're the first corporation. And what do we live in? A world of everything is a corporation in this world. Everything, the police department, everything.
Right.
We're in corporation nations. The countries are corporations.
Right. So the tricky part of it is, here's the best way, to kind of, for me to say it. Back when I, surrendered my life to the Lord, became a born again Christian, and was seeking out answers everywhere. And the one of the churches that I was going to for a while, that what I was really studying with, were Seventh-day Adventists. And the Seventh-day Adventist, church is a church that's, they've got a completely different take on the Bible in comparison to other Christian denominations and whatnot.
The Sabbath for them is Saturday.
Right. Yeah. Seventh day of the week, Sabbath. The whole thing of, just all the doctrines are pretty much, from a biblical perspective, they make more sense than anything else. And I've studied with them all. So, but at the same time, there's faults and flaws. To me, one of the problems I had with the Seventh-day Adventist Church as a church, and a lot of the people that get caught up in it, they're very legalistic, very judgmental, very legalistic, and I'm not into that. Now, I used to say, when I was going to the Seventh-day Adventist Church and studying, that it was ironic to me that some of the most judgmental and self-righteous people that I knew were Seventh-day Adventists, but yet their doctrines made the most sense. And the doctrines that make the least sense are the Catholic doctrines, yet some of the most warm, congenial, friendly people I know are Catholic. So you have the issue of just Catholics in terms of people, right? Let's say the judges, that he trained. Okay, they're Jesuit trained. What do you expect? That's how they grew up. That's what they know. That's what they understand. They do have a tremendously, in-depth schooling system, the Catholic Church does. So sure, while the doctrines are kind of anti-God, anti-creator, anti-Christ, anti-Bible, they're not consistent with, true Christian, biblical ways of seeing things. They're just people, they're human beings that, and they mean well and they mean good. So it's a tricky thing to kind of, say that maybe the institution itself, the head of it, the papacy.
I'm not trying to condemn people. I'm just pointing out the organization and the power of the organization. You just said 1,500 years. That's all you need to hear. So they're a force that has to be reckoned with. They didn't just start yesterday. So for sure, they control a good chunk of this world. So if you think this is all going down without their knowledge, then that would be dead wrong. But anyway, I was just curious what you thought the plan was. Do you think, and no one's died of COVID yet, do you think Trump will be the first celebrity to go down? Because this, I'm telling you, COVID was invented to bring the United States down.
Right.
Rather than
That's what it's for.
Rather than any other country.
The other countries are already submitted. All of them. I can't think of one that hasn't submitted to the New World Order.
Right. That's true.
Which one tell me one that has not, besides the United States.
What about Sweden?
A phenomenal meeting.
They didn't do the mask thing. They maybe they're
Sweden is already one of the most socialist, submitted to the New World Order societies ever. They're probably at the top. They have a 75% tax rate.
Which
Right on.
might be why they never. Well, that might be, Brian, why they never did the COVID thing. They don't have to.
They don't
Right?
have
They're
to.
like,
They're
all right.
already signed right up, man.
but they don't have. They are forcing people to do everything else, so it's no big deal.
I think they didn't do it as a comparison to China, who's completely socialistic, communistic place to be. So they could like.
No,
Yeah.
I call it totalitarian. They're not.
Yeah.
You got to get the right label, man. They're
Yeah.
totalitarian. Totalitarian. It's not. It's capitalist. They are capitalistic. They are their own thing. They're a totalitarian technocracy. That's the right word. They're not communist. They're not socialist. They're not capitalist. They're all of what I just said. They're their own thing.
Now, Tim, this brings into question the whole issue, of, because we could take it further. We can say, okay, sure, we're talking about, the Roman Catholic papacy and as an institution being corrupt, and I mean that basically they're the head of the mafia. That they're the ones that tortured and killed the Christians during the the Dark Ages. Sure, it's a bad institution, right? So this can, since it is religious based, we can move this conversation right into, again, fallen angels, right? Satan, Lucifer, right? I mean, to what degree does it correlate? Are the concepts of Satan and the devil itself?
I'm not really in all that, Mike. That might be what you are into. I don't really swim in those waters. I'm just talking about, I like to analyze the world stage, and I like to try and project and predict based on what's going on, what you think the next act will be in this play, because that's all. We're all just trying to reverse engineer the thing.
Right, but it's good to discuss it because, frankly, just like you've heard me say before, the problem I have with Christianity is these people have this idea in their head of, oh yeah, I'm waiting for Jesus to come and this is the devil's world. So what motivation do they have to try to make the world a better place? So you kind of, it's not a bad thing to start talking about the spiritual and religious connotations to all this, because, if all that is fabricated, made up bullshit, people need to wake up to that reality too and realize that, wait a minute, human beings are responsible for everything that goes on in this world. And therefore the righteous patriots need to take charge, and stand up and take back their countries, take back their nations, take back their rights, take back the world. Because otherwise, you're right. We're all subject to, some serious tyranny coming up the pike here.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
I don't think Trump's going down. I think he's just going to pop back out in a week or so and continue on with this stuff.
Okay, that's good to hear. It's the first time he stopped tweeting in a long time. I don't think he's ever stopped tweeting.
Oh, he has stopped tweeting?
Well, I don't think he tweets anyway. I think he has a tweeting army that tweets for him. But the point is, why did they all of a sudden go silent? Is he so? What is the reason for that?
I didn't know he went silent.
Yeah, Mike will tell you. It's been about 16 hours, eh, Mike?
Well, it's another one of those things where we got to kind of, it's a little bit of a waiting game. Just like, I'd spent some time. Come on, boo-boo, now. Ranger, get over here.
Oh my God, what is going on? You walk into a dog
Sorry,
colony?
yeah.
Why don't you wait?
The dog ran out for the first time. I got to go get the dogs.
Who else is on the call?
I'll tune back in with you guys.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Cracker Jack, what do you think's going on?
What do I think's going on? I think. What were my thoughts on this initially?
When you first heard about Trump, you mean?
Yeah, I think it's all planned.
Yeah, good.
I'm thinking he's probably using it to buy the portion of the population that actually thinks this is like real to possibly buy their vote. It's
to show that he's a real person, just like everybody else, and can get the Rona. You mean?
yeah, essentially, because he's been treading on that line of like trying to outwardly say, this thing's a complete fabrication by being, dismissive of the mask and the social distancing. And I think they interviewed him after that debate, and he was like, everybody in there got tested. Well, why would there be a need for a mask? Which made sense. And then Biden's wife came on the stage with the mask, which, seemed crazy. But
well, don't forget, testing has nothing to do with anything, because we're told that asymptomatic people could easily spread it. I mean, these are just falsehoods in the history of health and so-called medical science. They're just flat out lies, but people believe them. So
yeah,
falsehoods on top of falsehoods.
Oh yeah, man, it's just, but people buy it because it's science. They don't even question science.
It's science.
Science is the new religion. Well, it's always science was created by the Jesuits to be the alternate religion. When they saw that they were losing their constituency, they just created science. That's
the testing means nothing. That's true, but they've gotten the population to believe that it means something, and then
of course,
and then isn't it so claimed that if you are asymptomatic, that's the purpose of getting tested, to see if you actually have it and you're just not showing any symptoms. So that would then kind of curtail the people who are skeptical of it, or have the people who are on the fringe or believing in it kind of feel as if, hey, he's partly on their side, or he understands their positions on it and stuff too. I think it's all a lie.
Oh yeah.
And he probably won't quarantine for 14 days. It'll probably just be 7 days.
Yeah.
Although the election means nothing, they can't risk losing the election. So I guess there won't be a debate next week, right? There was supposed to be a debate next week, right?
Oh, it can be on Zoom.
But how silly would that be to have tested positive, and for this thing to be so gravely serious that he's still going to be on internet calls hawking up a storm?
Hey, well, listen, I'll give a comparison, because I don't know if this is real either, but I think it was. Ron Paul was on a Zoom call last week, and it looked like he was having some kind of heart arrhythmia or a stroke. And I just watched Ron Paul do his own broadcast today, where, yeah, he does look like an 85-year-old man that's been through the war, health war, that is. But if you can do a broadcast just after some kind of mini stroke, then, I think that's way more serious than any sniffles or colds. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm just saying it's really it should really open people's eyes up to the reality of this claimed illness, if it's really that serious. Although they've been touting that, hey, you could have this and not have any symptoms, but it's still a dangerous thing. And on the other hand, you've got people who supposedly have it and have to be intubated and placed on a respirator immediately, which is actually killing them.
How about this? Maybe he did it on purpose to, show that he was tested positive, and then he'll jump back in 2 or 3 days and say, hey, there's nothing to this. The tests don't mean anything. I'm perfectly.
You know what? That would be a good thing.
That'd be fun.
That would probably get him killed.
Yeah.
You think?
Well, that's assuming he's trying to do everything on his own and he's not scripted.
Yeah.
Which I think.
Nah, he's a complete part of the plan.
Yeah.
There's the two sides, man. It's either, conspiracy theory, Donald Trump's in on it, or conspiracy theory, Donald Trump's sent from God and he knows what they're up to and he's playing them.
You know, there's,
No,
there's
he's
two.
not playing. I don't think
I
so.
wish that was true, Mike. I do. We all do.
I
That's
know,
the faint hope part of it. We
right.
always see this faint hope. Oh yeah, he's on our side. Great. I don't think you can get in that position by accident. I really don't.
Right.
I wish
Well,
you could.
you know, I agree
myth.
that 33 days before election is pretty coincidental, ain't
Wow,
There are,
33 days.
there are no coincidences. They're script.
it?
I still I can't see him, if he's on our side and he's got it all planned, why he would tank the economy.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He's not. It's beyond him.
Exactly.
With the
That's why.
economic thing, he can't do it. I think the guy knows what's up, and he tried to send some tidbits to people to say, by Easter, get up and live your life. But all this controlled media, called him crazy and did a great cycle of trying to mind warp the people to deception again. So
I don't know.
I don't think
if he called it out right out in the open, I think his half of the country would have been right behind him and stood behind him. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know how many people are on this is a hoax side. I think the numbers are pretty low, unfortunately. I had an idea today where I told my wife, she thought it was nuts. I said we should have 5 armbands, from green, meaning I don't believe this at all, to red, I believe this all the way. We should all wear an armband just to basically state our status. I'd rather know that than your COVID status. I really want to know what is in your head. If I see all green armbands walking around, then I'm going to feel real good.
how about just wearing a star instead on your chest?
Well, I think everyone has a degree of what they believe. I think most people are gray on this, because the mind control in psychological operation is so powerful that I think a lot of people are wavering all over the place. Now, how many people just went towards red, finding out that Trump allegedly has it? I think a lot.
Right. Like a ping pong match. Oh, red, green, okay, gray, a little bit of green, red, yeah, back and forth.
Yeah. I want to make it like the terror alerts, from green to red, green, yellow, orange, red, or was something in between there. So
that's why we need the contact tracing, so we can actually get an instant readout of where everybody is. They can, on their contact tracing app, they can just hit red, green, blue.
Yeah, exactly. So
has anyone come in contact with a contact tracer? I would love to come in contact with one of those suckers.
Yeah.
I had a census person stop by.
Okay.
I want to know if any of you guys have applied, any of you guys out there listening that don't have a job have applied, because I heard contact tracers make some pretty serious do-re-mi.
That'd be funny if Mike actually became one, just because he
Yeah,
needs.
why not, Mike? Go for it.
Not if he keeps calling the White House like that. He's gonna have the Secret Service at his door. I saw.
Yeah, he's on their bad list. Kenny, what's going on in Alabama?
Nothing, man. Beautiful weather, nice cool temperatures.
Yeah.
And bad news on the TV.
Well, you were kind of bummed out about Trump, right? A little bit.
Well, the numbers are, when you get that high up on the pyramid, they do pay attention to numbers. That is known for sure. Like 9/11, that was not an accident that they did it on that day.
Right, of course. So what number are you talking about? 33 days before the election or selection?
Well, y'all were talking numbers, I didn't know if you were aware of this, but the spinal column has 33 segments.
I am aware. And I think a lot of it has to do with anatomy and those. Yes, I think that might be where they got the 33. Because they've been able to count that since the beginning of time.
And it's related to enlightenment. And,
sure. Well, that's why it's the highest degree of Freemasonry, we're told.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that. Tim, you know,
Yeah.
but your average guy hasn't got that deep into it,
Sorry, guys. I heard you mention my name earlier. I was in the kitchen getting my dinner ready, but I was listening to you guys. I heard you guys.
Well, thank you.
I wonder if all the members of Rush were OTO Freemasons.
I don't know. Good question. I think Alex, they always sign their name in blood, like hemispheres. They
Right.
sign the name in blood.
Oh, great. Maybe they I guess they all were.
You talking about the band members of Rush?
Well,
Well,
when
yeah.
you look at
Yeah.
look at the sleeve on hemispheres, the name Rush is signed in blood, and there's a little drop at the end where it dripped.
Right. That's all. It's sort of that's part of their blood rich sacrifice ritual nonsense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think all the top performers, they're all OTO Masons.
What's OTO?
It's order of the something. You gotta look it up. I can't remember.
Okay, order of the something. Okay.
Look it up. OTO free. They're all the top celebrity performers are all OTO.
Just because they got lots of money and fame, and they go hang around in those circles. Basically, that's how they get connected.
No, they basically have to sign up so they can get that. It's the other way around.
But you gotta
sell your soul, and then you're allowed.
Yeah, but they wouldn't just take a guy off the street. They need a celebrity or lots of money or something, right? To even pick them.
No, I think they create most of these entities. They find someone with some talent and they promote the hell out of it. Like, what's to say Lady Gaga is any more talented than Mike Singer? What's the difference? Promotion, baby.
Mike doesn't have any tattoos, I guess.
That's the thing,
Well,
man.
I think Mike would get a few.
If I signed up with the devil, I would, man.
That's right. Mike, you must have heard that all the top entertainers are OTO Freemasons.
Well, generally speaking, the idea is, you don't make the fame unless you sign over and just surrender, to the powers that be.
Right.
But see, that's the question again, the powers that be. That's what I like attacking. That's what I like trying to, pull the curtain back away from. Who really are the powers that be,
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're devils or angels, or I think they're just psychopathic people that don't mind doing what they have to do.
Right. So one of the righteous is going to take the reins, man.
We're too good for that. That's the whole problem. Psychopathic people or regular people don't want to be in control.
Yeah.
Power vacuum.
I'll be the king of this world.
Yeah, but then you'll get taken over too.
Not if I'm protected by the Creator on high.
You need to become the Speaker of the House, right? In case Trump and Pence get the Rona and pass on. You would be the next in line, I believe, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
I still almost think we don't know. Whatever we think's going to happen in November is not going to happen.
So
I don't think we know.
What's your prediction on November 4th when Trump wins?
I don't think there will be an election. Not that I don't think there will be an election. I was thinking, this may be the last election of the United States.
I know. It's such a dark thought, but I think you might be right.
If Biden gets picked, you mean?
No.
It doesn't matter who gets picked.
Exactly. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
it doesn't matter.
It's so contested and there's going to be fake ballots and everything from now on. You mean?
No, there just won't be. It'll be like a monarchy. It'll be like, well, China had elections. But
any thoughts on the reaping? Any thoughts on the wheats and the tares? Any thoughts on the good fruit and the bad fruit? Anybody?
I don't know what you're saying.
Do you understand at least the concept, whether it's real or not, or you believe it or not? It's not my question. Do you understand the concept of Jesus Christ?
I don't.
Yeah.
You're going to tell us.
Well,
Are you referring to when he's to come back or so?
right, second coming of Jesus, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the whole philosophy behind
Not everyone believes that. Not
right,
not
but
all Christians believe that.
right, but the overall, you know, philosophical, you know, religious belief or doctrine behind Christianity is that the man Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago was, you know, supposedly, you know, incarnated by the will of God into the Virgin Mary, right, and was born into and lived this perfect life in this example. And he was a sacrifice for all of our misdeeds, and he, you know, he was came as a sheep, but he's coming back as a warrior, right? He's coming back to destroy the wicked. He's coming back. So let's say, you know, my son and I pretty much agree that the Bible is cryptic. It's not literal. It's figurative, and it's got, you know, parallel parables and stories and, you know, analogies in it. But it's overall a cryptic book, right? So, you know, the whole idea of Jesus Christ, where, you know, to a diehard Christian who believes in the literal aspect of the Bible and the literal aspect of Jesus Christ, you know, it's blasphemy to even hear the notion that the story of Jesus itself was made up, you know. But it's not unbelievable. It's not beyond, you know, possibility. When you consider again his age, 33, right? When you consider the idea of the sun setting for 3 days at the vernal equinox, and then you know, it's the end of this, it's the dead of winter, you know, you're everything is dead, you can't grow food or nothing, but then life is restored, you know, when
You
the
mean
sun starts
you mean the winter solstice?
the winter solstice, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The idea that when the sun sets, you know,
Yeah.
in the winter on December 25th, you know, it's like there's 3 days, right, of it, of the sun being just at its farthest peak, and then it starts coming back the other way.
The sun comes back on December 25th.
Right,
That's
which
when the days
represents
start
the,
getting longer.
you know, the new life, right? There's
Yeah.
a whole, you know, series of videos on that people have pieced
Yeah, it's all
together.
astrological. Let's be honest.
Right,
Everything
astrological
is a
and
story
numerological
to
and everything
explain
else.
the stars that are real, that are
Right.
above us. We can all see
So
them.
so where do we go with that idea? It's like I always say, hey, there was a time in my life, admittedly, because I was weak and insecure and confused and fearful and everything else and screwed up, that I surrendered my life to Jesus. I did become a born again Christian when I was younger because I was seeking the truth and seeking answers. But I evolved beyond that. I'm not a church going guy. I can see the flaws and faults in all of the church-based doctrines that exist in any and every church out there. Seen them all, studied with them all. I know what it's all about. So I'm simply a man who, you know, my favorite scriptural verse is, come, let us reason together. I have a God-given mind. I use my mind to think and reason and use common sense. So both are possibilities. You know, if there was really a Jesus Christ, nobody knows. It's faith. But you know what? Faith is like belief. And what is belief? Belief is not knowing. And therefore you're like a sucker, right? You're believing in Santa Claus. You're believing in the tooth fairy. To believe, Tom Barnett said it great on his first video, right? If you believe something, then you're ignorant. You don't know, right? And
Yeah, we're talking.
people will use belief as kind of a security blanket, right? To feel
Belief has the word lie
Well,
in
they're
it.
talking about Trump
all
getting in the
cozy.
bus.
You
That's
know,
what
I
this
got
is
my
about.
belief.
That?
I'm all cozy, right? You know, I know
Did
what
you
I
know
believe.
the word
I'm sorry.
believe has the word lie in it?
All right.
Right. So to the extent that people are going to think and be enlightened, right? Enlightened, like the Masons, like the builder, the light, Lucifer light, right? There is that other connotation on the whole play of words, right? So, I mean, we could take this argument to the extent that it's like I said, my son and I have discussed it much. What if really the Masons, the 33-degree Masons, are not bad and mischievous and evil like all these conspiracy things make them out to be? They're the opposite. They're the smart ones, the enlightened ones, and they are manipulating and controlling society because they have to. Because look at humanity. Look how stupid humanity can be. Look at the foolish, stupid things people do to themselves, the self-destructive behaviors, the violence, the out of control behavior, the weakness in humanity. So if they're, you know, in control of their own being and they're controlling humanity, they could even put that up as a smokescreen so that people can't see through, right? Kind of like Area 51, the notion that aliens were just really a created concept. So people couldn't really see that it's just government, crafts, that they're developing high technologies. Let's put it out there that it's aliens, right? So it's a smokescreen. So it could be the 33-degree Masons are, and again, this is going with the assumption that either we're in some kind of a sophisticated video game, right? That's all we're all in anyway. This is all a simulation. It's a game, and this is part of the game. Or we could take it in a literal sense that there is no, whether or not, when we're talking about God or the creator, there's different concepts of that, right? My higher power, the creator. When we put religious connotations into it, it changes things. But if you wipe all the religious connotations out, then you're left with, whether there's a God or not, God could still have created all things, just put things in order. But now we're here. We're the ones that are responsible for dealing with it, right? So in the human sense, on the most basic sense, in the history of this world for thousands of years, there's just humans that have created these concepts and ideas. And to the extent that you've heard people say, oh, religion was created to control people. A lot of truth to that, right? So if they can create ideas to scare people, and frankly, Judeo-Christian religion is very much fear-based. People are driven by fear. So if they can manipulate and control people to keep them in a certain place, either manipulate them into church pews so that they'll be still and not fight up against us and try to take over our power, or, let's just destroy a bunch of them too. Let's use the media to stupefy people, right? The dumbing down of society, so that now we don't have to worry about any of those people either, right? So maybe the people that do think and use their mind and figure out the riddles and find the solution and crack the code, they make their way into that same organization.
So that's where you're headed.
Well, I'm open to all things. I'm open to all possibilities. Again, like Tim was saying, he's not into the, Satan thing and fallen angels. I'm not into that either. I'm just aware of the concepts completely and fully. And I know that there are people who wholeheartedly believe that. I reject it because to me, it takes away from human responsibility. But at the same time, do we know? Do we know if there's some other realm? Do we know if there's another spiritual realm that's controlling things in this world? We don't know. We don't know for sure. We can use our reason and say, well, yeah, I defer that. I kind of, don't really accept that, because I like to cling on to, hey, human beings are responsible for everything that's going on in this world. If that's the case, let's just use that to say that the 33-degree Masonry people, the builders, after all, they founded the United States of America. And what are all the patriots and Trump supporters praising and doing? America, make America great again, right? The United States Constitution, the American flag. So I guess they can't be all that bad if they created this nation, right? It's a nation under God, right? To what degree, to what extent? Well, we know what to what degree, 33 degree. But to what extent, right, is there the possibility that it's all a smokescreen, even the evil, the bad, but they'll use it to their advantage. It kind of parallels the thing of even, how Brian and I have joked around and, the Dollar Village vigilante saying, man, if people are that stupid that they're going to let themselves be vaccinated, to hell with them, let them go. It's true. It's true. If people are that stupid that they're going to cover their vital airways all day long and rebreathe their own carbon dioxide and rebreathe the bacterial waste that's in their mouth back into their lungs all day long, causing problems for themselves so that they do end up in the hospital, so be it. If they're that stupid. If people, stupid is, there was a very wise man who once said, stupid is as stupid does. And he was from Alabama, Brian's neck of the woods.
Yep, Forrest.
What was his name?
Forrest.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So the whole thing is, it's kind of, you kind of have to just sit back to some degree, and sure, you can jump on the conspiracy bandwagons, but a lot of those are just institutions. A lot of those, you could argue that people like Jones, right? Kenny's always watching him still. Alex Jones, right? You know, you could argue that somebody like him, man, he just found his niche, man. He found a niche, because in this world, it's all about this, and he wants his supporters and he needs his money, right? The interesting thing is, Brian and I, every time when we started this site, we didn't have, that wasn't our motivation. We didn't want to, let's create our online thing and make money and get supporters. No, but we realized in time, man, we got expenses here and we're putting forth all our effort. Sure, we want donators. Sure, we want supporters. But it just happens to be true with Brian and I that if let's say somebody stepped up to the plate and put $1 million in our GoFundMe, you can bet Brian and I aren't living on that and buying a nice car and getting a place to hang out and eating good food. No, all of that money is Brian and I are hitting the road, man, and we're going to the top-notch attorneys, or, you know, and finding the best of the best in terms of civil law attorneys, right? And we're using that money to pay them because they're going to cost money. We're using the money to get there. We're using the money to feed ourselves, drink some water, some apples, some fruits, you know, some nuts and some bananas, and getting to the top dog attorneys and presenting our case and saying we need to kind of like, you know, there's a well-known understanding going back to the Christian churches, you know, and the Catholicism, that Martin Luther, from the Lutheran, you know, founder of the Lutheran Church, you know, hammered his, you know, theses, you know, some 500 theses, or I don't remember exactly what it was now, but he nailed to the church door, to the Catholic Church door, how they were off base, you know, with Christianity and off base with the Bible. And I forgot what they called that. There was a name for it, but basically his theses, right? You know, we come up with our,
thesis.
what?
I think it was called a 95 thesis.
Yeah. So, you know, we'll come up with our theses, our legal document, our arguments. You know what? I recently came up with this reality in my mind, discussing with an attorney friend of mine, you know, the reality that I asked the question, what is more important, law or argument? Or what comes first, law or argument? Argument. Laws are based upon an argument. So having the winning argument, having an unbeatable argument, having the strongest argument, the argument that's the strongest, that you can put the least amount of holes in or no holes at all, right? An argument that is based on reason and common sense, rationale, intelligence. It's a strong, valid argument that tops all. That should be, and generally is, the basis for what a law is built upon. Here's the law. Here's why we have the law, for this way of thinking. Now, if you can come up with a way of thinking that beats that, maybe we can change the law, right? So having the right argument, right? So you make the argument, you articulate what the argument is, which is essentially what I've recently done in my video, where I have my 4 facts, right? Because I'm just stating the reality. Look, here's a fact. There are people who cannot, and will not cover their vital airways and rebreathe their own carbon dioxide and their own waste products. That's a fact. There's those people. Well, it's a fact that there are federal civil rights. It's a fact that under federal law, that these places people go to buy food and enjoy themselves in the public domain are defined as public places of public accommodation. It's a fact that the law says nobody can be treated differently or disparately in those places. Everybody has full and equal access to all the same goods, services, provisions, and accommodations that are therein. Everybody.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
I got to pass out here, Mike. Good talking to you guys. Can you send me a copy of this audio? I think there were some good things said tonight.
Yeah, I will. And I was going to ask about Canada. Looks like they're most places are like a total mask mandate where you can't go outside or anything, or what's?
I don't know. I just heard about it tonight. I don't know what the hell he's talking about in my province of Ontario.
Yeah.
And Quebec created some Victoria, Australia type zones in their 2 biggest cities there. So
Wow.
I don't know what's going on over there. To me, that's another country. I don't pay a lot of attention, but it's close enough. So it makes me worried about what nonsense they're going to pull off here. I don't know what the mass BS is for where I live, because they just said it and I don't know what he's talking about. So it's,
Okay.
yeah, it's just another level. Here we go again.
Yep. You're right. Okay. Yeah. I'll send
Going down, and at least your governor has done the opposite. Whatever happens with that, I don't know.
Mississippi and Florida. Yeah. Yep. They're doing.
So I might have to move it. I might have to move down in with you soon. So let's see.
Come on down. I got room.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right,
Good
team.
night, Tim. Thanks
All
for
right,
checking in,
bye-bye.
man.
Yeah, there's been some weird stuff on some videos of Canada just going wacky. Somebody's paying them off big.
Paying off all the countries.
Politicians, yeah. Hey, Cracker Jack, I'm just going to show you the latest bumper sticker.
Muslim. uh, some people would take that the wrong way.
That's okay with me.
It's perfect,
Yeah.
man. The Muslim.
Yeah, I'm working on
And
that.
it is a religion, man.
Yeah. Yep.
It is to make it more clear. Maybe adding like a mask in the middle of it. Lift it. Let me see it again.
All right.
Yeah, like adding maybe a mask for the U, or a mask for the between the M and the R in Muslim religion sucks.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea. That's a good idea, Cracker Jack.
Yeah, because I don't think people would understand that most people wouldn't.
Because
I like the idea of a mask where the U is, because it would almost look like you could shape it almost like an O, and it would be like Muslim, Muslim,
Yeah.
Muslim.
All you'll have to do is like with the head, just make it convex, and then still have the mask on there on the facial part.
right. Well, yeah, you're right though. That's the problem. Most people probably in America, a lot of them can't read, or don't know
Yeah,
how to spell
they
Muslim.
would actually think you're talking about the religion Muslim.
Right. And
Right.
they get pissed off, but yeah, I'll take that into consideration. I'm working out with a new laser jet printer that can't really do what I need it to, but that's a
Okay.
good idea. I'll see if I can add a mask or something.
I heard someone that I work with, they said that their parent died of the COVID. The COVID.
The COVIDs. Yep.
They were like, yeah, it's real.
It's real. Yep. That's
And they contracted it from like relatives who weren't being careful. So everybody be careful.
But the questions for him would be, and you can't even ask him the questions because you're not really going to get an honest answer. People say shit. People talk shit. That's the bottom line.
well,
They'll say things and it's not necessarily accurate.
It's the religion. They're going to defend it till the end.
Right. And people lie. They'll fabricate, they'll twist. But the questions would be, oh, really? How old was this person? The person's going to be 75. They're going to say 50, right? Did this person have any pre-existing conditions? They probably did. They're going to say, no, man, they were healthy.
Yeah.
Supposedly
You're
the
gonna
person spent a month in the hospital.
Right. So then you're going to say, well, they must have had him on a ventilator and killed him in the hospital, sticking things down their lungs. No, man, they weren't on a ventilator when they didn't even know. You know what I mean? All these lies. So you can never really know because people talk shit. They don't even know. They don't really know all the details of what was behind it. People die every day. People die every year. People are always dying.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming Trump is not just playing a 33rd degree Mason game right now, assuming, he might be sick because, oh man, he's sick. Let's take a test and say he's positive. You know what I mean? And he doesn't even know that he's not positive of COVID because COVID doesn't exist. He's just being told that he's positive. But this plays into all the questions that Tim was bringing up earlier, right? About the possibilities, what this might mean. Are they going to knock him out? Is this where they're going to, take Trump out, and, turn the world upside down right now, turn the USA topsy-turvy? You know, it's certainly an open door for them to do it.
How would they do it? Kenny was talking about
Say
that.
he died, you know, when he didn't.
Oh, just, yeah, but he wouldn't just go away like that.
Then they'll say, shave your head, grow goatee, and wear glasses, and you know.
I don't see Trump doing any of that.
No, no, but you know, I don't see anything coming of it to myself, like you were saying earlier, Brian. I don't see this being a thing. I don't think anything's going to happen of it. If nothing else, he's going to be at a freaking rally soon saying, they were saying I had the COVID. I felt just fine. Look at me now. I'm here. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that he's going to use that to the advantage of the
Right.
Yeah, that would be a good idea to say, hey, I felt fine, and any of you guys, if you test positive, go out and live your life.
Right. And, or even, you know, now I'm starting to question that test thing because I don't feel any different. And they said I was positive. So I'm just saying. Yeah.
And then they announced this thing in the middle of the night, right? Was it not after like midnight that they tweeted that? Because when I woke up this morning, I saw it on Reddit, and then I saw a link to Melania Trump's. No, I saw a link to his page because I don't have Twitter or any of that stuff, and so she described it more, and I think the time that they reported it was like after midnight. Why not report it earlier during that day when you got the results, which would have been the 34th day, right?
I think he was the one that tweeted it first.
Yeah.
I think it was around 8 or 9 when we were on air. Because
oh, really?
I'm pretty sure I saw
Okay.
it before I went to bed at 10. I think. But
I guess we'll upload this video. Tim said he wants us to put it up there, so.
yeah.
No, he said send it to him.
Yeah. Well, we can
Same
post
thing.
send it to him.
We'll post it. There was a minute there where I didn't realize I was on camera chomping down on my food, but
But you, there you go again. Yeah. Well, I mean, there are probably some people that like watching people eat food.
that's true. There's probably people that do this all the time, man. These are some good potatoes, man.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna need a cooking channel soon. Our own cooking channel.
Well, I do have some cooking with Mike Singer videos on my YouTube channel, so I just don't have any eating with Mike Singer videos yet.
What's on your menu today, Cracker Jack? What was on your menu?
I didn't eat anything today.
Okay.
Intermittent fasting, huh?
Well, I ate some grapes this morning. That was like before 6:30 this morning.
Wow.
I ate some red grapes, green grapes, black grapes, and some gumdrop grapes.
The whole
Nice.
range. The rainbow colors. Nice.
Yeah.
Brian, I
So-
just remembered we got a message from, we got to dump it. We got to dump the news on Cracker Jack.
Uh-oh. What?
Cracker Jack, you were our #1 supporter on our wall of fame.
Oh,
Yeah, but he's the first.
You're the first. You'll always stay on the first place. We
it's
want
okay.
to kind of, you didn't talk to him yet, did you, Brian?
No.
We want to kind of, Brian just wants to get his permission about putting it. It was kind of interesting. He sent in the mail, a generous donation. Well, it was, what was it, a $500 pesos, 500 pesos,
Oh, wow.
which sounds like a lot,
Yeah.
but that comes out to $23.
Hey,
But
that's
he also
cool.
threw a $100 bill in there, and he also threw a $100 Visa gift card.
Wow.
Right, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he put a couple chocolate kisses in there too?
Yeah, they were melted, but it's okay.
No, but yeah, we thought we'd share with you because you're one of our big supporters, man, and which we appreciate you.
We wouldn't
We
be,
just appreciate that you're online with us frequently.
we
You
wouldn't,
you have overtaken Tim. See, Tim was our regular guy for a while. He's coming back now, last couple of days, but you've overtaken Tim on being the regular show.
Tim, I don't know how Tim does it. He's posting stuff. I mean, I get all of his posts and he does like
Hello?
8 or
This
9.
thing stopped.
You stopped? You didn't hear all this good stuff we were just saying about you? Cracker Jack?
Oh, okay. Something's going on. Yeah, I don't know how Tim does it. You don't get all his posts, but I get like 9 posts a day or something or more.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, man.
I send you the good ones.
Yeah,
I got booted.
You got
yeah,
Brit-
you missed all that good stuff we were saying about you, man.
No, it's all right. Appreciate it. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, no, that's what we were saying, that we appreciate you, you know,
I was gonna
not
say,
just being
we
on our
wouldn't-
wall of fame, but
we
being
wouldn't,
here for us every night, you know. And you're overpassing Tim. Tim was like our regular every night show up, but you've got him surpassed now. And I know, Tim, you're going to be hearing this, so now you got to catch up to Cracker Jack's visits.
Tim's a superstar.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think it almost seemed like he was driving or something. He had to,
Well, of course, Tim's got his thing going, like Brian was just saying, you know, which we're gonna plug you right now, Tim. He's
Oh, yeah,
got fakeologist.com going. So anybody that does see this video, make sure you go to fakeologist, just like it sounds. FAKEOLOGIST, fakeologist.com. Some great videos there. Great
and
information from our northern Canadian brother, hoax exposer,
fakotube.com also is a great,
and FakeOTube. That's right.
your alternative to the what's another word for YouTube? Down the tubes, YouTube.
ScrewTube.
ScrewTube, there you go.
Screw YouTube.
So you just had the grapes this morning, Cracker Jack. What about the day before? You remember?
What did I eat? Some watermelon, some oranges, and salad.
You're eating just like I like to eat, and like Brian usually eats.
Yeah. What do you put on your salad?
I usually use salsa, but this time I had gotten some organic. I think it was vegan or organic vegan ranch dressing.
Wow.
It was on closeout from Kroger,
Yeah.
and I put that on there.
Made with tofu or something like that.
I forgot what it was. Maybe it had. I think it had soybean oil on there. I try to stay away from oily salad dressings. I usually make my own and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice that there are ranch alternatives now. It used to be everything had MSG. Any ranch had MSG in it, but now you can get kind of at Walmart you can get the organic or Paul Newman's ranch doesn't have it in it now, so there are options, which is nice.
Yeah, Walmart's come a long way.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they let you go in. Well, people don't know it, but they let you go in without a mask.
Yeah. Yeah, I told you guys I was in there the other day, yesterday, and only saw one person in there without a mask.
I was in today.
And a lot of people were wearing them, you know. Not a lot of people. A few people were wearing them on their chin.
I
Hold on.
didn't see one without a mask, and maybe there was one or two, down below their nose. In the whole store.
But if you know people that watch the regular televised news or from these news corporations and see how ingrained they are with what's being repeated on those, then you can see their mentality and why they are how they are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was talking to someone who, was saying a lot of things about Trump and, he's for the white supremacist, and he wasn't going to speak up about Russia possibly putting a hit on U.S. soldiers and stuff. But then when I realized that they were just getting all their information from MSNBC, and I turned on MSNBC for a second, I was like, wow, this is why this person believes in that so fervently. For example, with that debate, I saw a clip on YouTube, ScrewTube, and the first thing they said was that Trump was the one who was like over talking the moderator and telling Biden to shut up. But I think he hardly did that. It was mainly more Biden telling Trump to like shut up and stuff. I know Trump said it once, like shush or something like that in the middle of a sentence.
Shush, old man. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't watch it, so I can't say. But yeah, I mean, I would have thought Trump kind of was doing the whole thing, but you're saying you didn't think he did?
He may have been, but the way that, for example, the MSNBC commentator was characterizing it, it made it seem as if like he was just a complete aggressor and the villain in that, and that wasn't the case. I mean, I didn't see enough of it. I just saw clips and bits of that particular thing because
he wasn't the villain, man. He was the typical Trump taking charge kind of guy.
Yeah.
No? Okay. All right, Mom.
Which seems like it's good for pointing out that Biden is just a follower, and he ain't no leader.
Yeah. Biden's not thinking for himself. I'm still surprised he was able to stand there and speak coherently without stumbling on his words.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about stumbling.
No, I mean, he usually stumbles over his words and he can't remember what he's saying. Sky News from Australia does a really good job of like showing countless clips of him making buffoon comments like that.
Yeah.
That was awesome, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching Trump become the moderator over Chris Wallace, man.
Yeah, he was taking charge, huh?
He was taking charge, man.
And Chris Wallace was supposed to be from Fox News. That's the ironic one. He's supposed to be on his side, right?
Hey, lucky dog. Lucky dog.
Boogie. Yeah, Boogie.
Oh, look at the lucky dog. Hey, lucky dog. There we go. Hey, Cracker Jack, we're trying to come up with something for Mike's song. There ain't no viruses, to make like a music video, and we're thinking of having Monica make some viruses or something, floating by or something. While they sing the song. Yeah, we need to get to a good music video for the song somehow.
Yeah, I got to do something with that song. A lot of people like it, actually. I've gotten some good comments. People dig it. I need to get a good studio version of that song. And well,
you got a studio right there. I don't know that you.
Why not really? I mean, a good music studio. I know people that have them, but it's all about that, right? And you know me, the guy that has no income period at all right now, broke for all the reasons I've mentioned, right? Everything shut down, so no gigs, can't go out and play anymore, which I was doing at several cool places in Miami, man. There's a place called Bayside Marina that I just started playing at right before this thing started. In fact, I was scheduled for that Saturday, the week that they shut everything down, so I missed that gig. Black Point Marina, great, on the water restaurant, bar, grill place. It's really cool. They always told me how they loved me being there. I enjoyed playing there. Great gigs, where I could make a few bucks, pretty good money as a solo act. Other places I was playing around town, students' homes, who don't want you coming over anymore because they're afraid of an invisible enemy that doesn't exist. And then Uber, right? Driving for Uber, and I don't wear a face mask. I let them know, but they terminated my driving account for them. So, I'm doing what I can now with my wife, cleaning an occasional, office or house, doing party decorations. I mean, we're doing just whatever we can, right? We got to do something, whatever comes up, we do it. But to the extent that I'm always, occasionally I put out videos asking for people's support. Because in theory, if we had the money coming in, Brian and I together, if we had, when we get our support that up where we have, you hear about some of these YouTubers and people that are making $100,000 a year, because they've been, getting a following over the last decade, right? Doing their thing, and they're up to making over 100 grand a year. But there's no question in my mind, they're making that money for their living in their home and their nice plush reality. I don't have that anyway. I've never had my own home and nice plush reality. My wife and I live at my dad's place, and, we pay him rent when we're making money, but if we're in trouble, he's there for us, and we're there for him, but I'm not a material person and Brian's not. So to us, the money would just represent opportunity to get out, drive to mayor's offices throughout Florida, go to the governor, getting back to our point we were making earlier about our theses, right? Have our argument articulated, supported by law, and then get a badass dream team of attorneys to take that and put it in all the places it needs to go, on behalf of Americans, man. We're doing it on behalf of the USA, we're doing it on behalf of our fellow brothers and sisters in America. That's why we're doing it for ourselves, because we're standing for our own rights, in our self-esteem and our dignity and our rights. But we're doing it for everybody. We're doing it even for the sheeple. We're doing it for them,
It seems like Florida, because DeSantis supposedly, lifted the mandate thing, that the clubs would have to be start opening now. I mean,
I know.
You'd think.
Is there
people
is there a
brainwashed.
difference now? But is there a difference since he lifted it, or everything is still the same?
I haven't seen any
I haven't seen any difference, but supposedly, I mean, really the only thing is you can't be fined for not having a mask, and I don't know anybody that got fined before this was changed.
Right, even before that,
But you still got stores saying that they're a private business and they can do anything they want and they can kick out anybody they want and all that stuff.
And that's the big problem we have. The most recent video that I did on that issue needs to go viral, man. I don't know why it's not yet. That video should have had 1 million views in one night, because I addressed.
I hope your call to the White House goes viral, but hopefully the Secret Service doesn't come knocking at your door, but that may be a good thing.
No, hopefully the Secret Service does come knocking on my door.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Hey guys, come right in. Let me show you some stuff that you need to let the president know about if he doesn't already know about it.
That would be cool. Of course, Bongino's Secret Service, right? And he's right up the road. Somehow we need to get to him.
Yeah.
So he can get to Trump. Let him know.
Tim makes a good point. He's mentioned it a few times before. The reason Mike isn't successful and widespread on the internet is because Mike is all about the truth, right? That's what Tim from fakeologist.com has said a few times. And he's right. It's the damnedest thing. It's the damnedest thing, man.
You have to buy into and agree to the system to be of
right,
any...
which is why Tim even believes that Alex Jones is a shill. He wouldn't have all those followers and money coming in and have that success if he wasn't a troll, a shill, a plant, right? And again, remember the old concept, and it doesn't have to mean Satan is real. you know, just on a figurative sense, the devil mixes truth with error. So they put out good stuff so that they can reel you in with the bullshit. You know, and a good example of that too, Brian and I have talked about this, is Brian over at High Impact Vlogs. Love his videos. I love his seeming patriotism, and it's all about the Second Amendment and your rights, and you can't take rights about people. He's right on so much of what he says, but there's no question in my mind that if he's a shill or a plant, he was put there to try to encourage true Americans and patriots to be anti-cop, to try to get people on the anti-police movement, because that's one of their movements, right? Just like Black Lives Matters is one of their movements, just like Antifa is one of their movements, the anti-cop thing is one of their movements. And he's like the perfect guy talking about your rights and the Second Amendment and your sovereignty, you know, just all about American patriotism, but anti-cop. So it's like the devil mixes truth with error. I've seen videos, I made comments to him before, you know, I don't want to go through the example. I did it on a couple videos before of him, you know, talking how bad these cops were and the way they were doing things. I've seen a couple of his videos where I look at the video, I'm like, those cops were totally in the right. They didn't do nothing wrong. He's trying to bring the heat down upon the police. He's trying to instigate. He's trying to incite people to be anti-cop with his anti-cop videos. Other than that, his videos are great.
I mean,
I've seen him. I've been on him live, and I gave him, you know, $20 on his live. He said, "Thanks, Mike Singer," you know, and I forgot to even put a comment. But while I was there, I saw cha-ching, $100 pop up for him within 2 minutes. Ka-ching, $200 pop up for him. You know, and that was just in the 5 minutes I was online, and that was a freaking 2-hour video. The guy probably made, you know, $1,000 or more just on that one live feed. The guy's making money. What's he doing with it? How come he's not calling us? How come Brian hasn't contacted us and said, "Hey guys, you got some real serious stuff going on here. We gotta merge on this. We got to get things going." We've put his videos on our website, the videos where he was in harmony with the truth about all the hoax crap and, you know, the COVID crap. He put out some good videos on that. You know, we've sent him links, we've sent him emails. We never heard from him. So, plus he's connected with this organization I found out about that does all his support work, his email and probably his store, and it gives him products to promote. So it's like he's bought now. He's like bought in. He's in the system to some degree. You have to be, like you're saying, Cracker Jack, to have any degree of success. You're like, you sell some part of your soul, it seems.
I've never thought about him being a part of the system, but
yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna say that, you know, we don't really know his background. Maybe it's like Trump, you know, everything seems great except for the virus thing, you know, like he's a germaphobe. Right. So that's his weakness, you know, that, and so maybe Brian at High Impact Blogs maybe was harassed by cops growing up or something, and he just has a bad feeling for cops. So we don't know that he's actually bought.
Sure, yeah. You know, it may well be, you know, that Brian is 100% on the up and up. He's totally great, and he means well about everything. And that's just that he's jaded in the area of cops, and he's making some things that shouldn't be made out to be bad when they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean,
but he should at least be willing to discuss that. He should at least be willing to, you know, listen to comments from people like me and have a, you know, intelligent conversation about it, analyze some of his own videos with another perspective.
So he's not.
I've endeavored to do that, but, you know,
he's not willing to do it.
He's never contacted me back. I've sent him emails before, never heard from him. But at the same time, hey, I do understand that he's got a lot of people. You know, we're starting to get busy. We're starting to get where it's hard for us to juggle the emails we're getting and, you know, the supporters we're getting. You know, you want to send every supporter a thank you, right? You have to, you know, but when they get lost in the mail and the emails and you're doing other things. So yeah, he's got thousands of followers. I'm sure it's difficult to juggle all that. So
he's got to have.
I do understand that aspect of it too.
He's got to have a group of people doing stuff for him. to be able to.
Right, and that's the thing. I'm sure he does.
I think his views on cops, from what I've seen, comes from an anarchist perspective. Which, if you're thinking like that, then most of what cops do are unjustified and is completely immoral. Although they may consider it legal, it's on a fine line of even legality or
Right.
lawfulness.
Right,
So,
but again, I'll just have to give the example again. You know, he did a video where there was a guy pulled off the side of the road. You can make the argument, I'm in a free country, I'm just driving, I'm tired, I'm going to pull off the road. Leave me alone. I'm free and I'm not doing nothing wrong. I have the right to be here. You can make that argument. But you can also make the argument that every day we at least hear about kidnappings and people being beaten and abused and kidnapped and child pornography and molesting and you know, people driving drunk could potentially kill somebody else. So it's within reason for a police officer to see a car on the side of the road and stop to investigate. That's completely within reason.
correct.
It's within reason to ask to shine some lights on, you know, inside. They don't know if there's a 15-year-old girl with her hands tied behind her back to her legs, hog-tied on the floor with a muzzle over her mouth. They don't know that. It could be. It's reasonable as a police officer to just kind of look in there and see that everything's okay. But he'll take it like, look at him putting their lights in that man's vehicle. You know, it's.
I see what you're saying. If it's in a public place, then you have no expectation of privacy, as they say. So he can, you know, shine the light in there. But when it comes to the point where he starts asking intrusive questions with no sort of evidence.
Well, yeah, but see, that's again where it gets tough, because there's another example. You know, where are you from? So the guy could be an escaped convict, right, from a local jail too, right, that just stole a vehicle. You know, may I see your driver's license registration? That's standard. That's reasonable for police officers to ask me. What, am I suspected of a crime? See, they've created this like they've instigated this like attitude in people, where people even do these stupid videos. It's like me. When I go out to see police officers, you can watch my videos. I'm being respectful and I'm just communicating like a human being, and I never have a problem, because I know that, number one, first and foremost, they're human beings. Secondly, they're fellow Americans. Thirdly, they're just doing their job, working, trying to provide for their family. Fourthly, they probably have a family. And fifth, they're out on their jeopardizing their own lives being police officers, right? So they're due some respect and some courtesy. So I'm going to treat them that way. Are there bad cops? Yes, I've dealt with bad cops. I settled a $25,000 out of court settlement for being falsely arrested by a bad cop that falsified a police report. And that all came out in the internal review investigation. Out of court settlement, $25,000, and the cop was fired. But then his buddy was the mayor of the city and gave him his job back, which is also corrupt. So I know corruption. I know it exists.
Wow.
I've been falsely accused of crimes that I didn't commit, and I've had to go through the system. And I know the system, you know, can have a lot of flaws in it. But at first value, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that it's first a fellow human being, second, a fellow American, third, probably a family man, fourth, he's just doing his job, and fifth, that job, he's putting his life on the line every night. And sixth, he's out there really to try to protect the public. He's in, you know, to keep people safe. So it makes perfect sense, you know, that a police officer can, that's suspicious, a vehicle on the side of the road. Yeah, it is, sorry, because vehicles are supposed to be driving down the road, not sitting on the side of the road. So that's worth stopping and checking out. And when you get there, it's worth and worthy of saying, sir, do you have a driver's license? I don't have to give you a driver. Do I have to give you I don't have to give you my driver. That's what they've created. Give them some courtesy, some common courtesy and respect. If you got nothing to hide, yeah, absolutely, officer, here it is. You got nothing to hide. They've twisted it. That's what these shills have done. Whether Brian really is one that's part of trying to create that thing or not, I really don't know. It just has seemed that way to me on a lot of the videos I've seen. But again, let's assume he's not. Because again, 99% of what I see Brian do, I love it. It's just that when I see those things, especially you could see by the way I'm describing it now, there's another perspective on things, right? And not only is there another perspective on things, but there is the reality that there's a movement to kind of create that attitude, like these people that walk around with their guns just because I can. I'm going to get my AK-57 and walk down the street in front of a police station. And when they come out, I'm going to say, hey, I got the right. Come on, they're creating that kind of bullshit. There's no need. Yeah, you have the right, but you don't have to do it just to antagonize, just to instigate, just to try and be confrontational with police officers. They've really been pushing that over the last few years to create this confrontational thing between police officers and the public. And that's why, thank God, Trump is a pro-police guy, and his Trump supporters, most of them are actually respecting the police officers, the majority, if not all of them. So that's a good thing. So that's why when I see somebody like Brian, who's all about the Constitution and the USA and your rights, doing a 180 on that and not really being on the side of at least promoting respect for law enforcement officers, and sure, there's bad officers. He's making it out like they're all bad, as opposed to they're all good, but there's an occasional bad apple,
Well, I think Tom Barnett kind of is on that side of
He
it.
is. And Tom Barnett, look, Tom Barnett, he knows I love him, man. We love Tom Barnett. Tom Barnett's not God. He's not perfect. People, get caught into these things where they want to worship somebody they see that because they like a video or 2 or 3 or 10 that they've seen of somebody, right? It's conceivable that Tom Barnett himself has been caught by that movement of anti-cop. At the same time, he may have personal reasons too. I've already said I got personal reasons. If I wanted to be an anti-cop guy, I could, for good reason. But no, the better approach is to give due respect, be courteous, don't be an antagonizer, don't be antagonistic, don't try to be confrontational, be respectful. And 99 times out of the 10, especially if you ain't got nothing to hide to begin with, if you just, hey, officer, how you doing? And you communicate with them on, you provide your ID, just so, yeah, I live around the corner here, here's my ID. We're just trying to check you out, make sure you're fine.
That's how it starts, though.
Yeah.
If you've got nothing to hide, then they use as an excuse to infringe upon you. And that's where the entire Bill of Rights and the entire Constitution comes about.
Well,
So
wait. Well, I got to interject on that point right now, because
you got a right to ask for your ID. I'm not sure. I mean,
this goes back to an earlier point we were discussing about, let's say that the 33rd degree Masons are the righteous ones, and they're going to let all the stupid people do stupid things. It goes back to the reality that there are a lot of human beings that are self-destructive and ignorant and foolish and stupid, and they do stupid things. As the great wise one said, stupid is as stupid does. So people put themselves in those positions. People create their own reality. So if you want to create an anti-cop mentality, you're going to create that reality. If you want to create so I salute you, I respect you. Thank you for looking out. Thank you for trying to make sure that I'm a legitimate, person, and that, and I got nothing to hide. So it's on that level. You can't say that's where it starts. You can say that's where it starts, but that's where it ends. That's where it starts and that's where it ends.
Yeah, but I think the driver's license.
It's not that it's. Sorry, go ahead.
The driver's license thing is different. I don't want to be hassled just because of stupid people. I have rights where you can't.
Hassled?
Yeah, I don't want to have to show you my ID. I just want to go about my business. I mean, you can say if you want, that's fine, but you can't make me.
See, that again, that goes both ways. There's a legitimate position and argument a person could take on that.
If there's a
but
reason.
they've used, in the same way you're saying that that's where it starts for them to take over your, be intrusive. That's also where it starts for people to start becoming antagonistic and trying to be anti-cop. So it starts there for both sides. So to me, it just, the reasonable thing, the higher road is police officers are out there dealing with a lot of smut, criminals, drug dealers, murderers, criminals, convicts. So I'm not one of those officers. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Have a good night.
And although anyone has the opportunity, I won't say right, because that's a loaded word. Anyone has the opportunity to ask anything. they can ask for your ID, but you don't have to provide it to them, because
agree.
what the so-called Constitution has done is enumerated or specifically written down particular God-given or life-given rules or dictates that you have,
Right. Let's
to
not
where
let this
you don't have to give it up.
Right, but let's not let this get lost in this conversation. And this is where discretion comes in. We're talking about the circumstances. Because as you know, in my video at the library, when they asked my buddy for his ID, is he suspected of a crime? He doesn't need to provide anything. You don't have the right to ask us for any ID right now. I agree. Under those terms, we're just there. Police officer doesn't have the right to just ask you out of the blue for your driver's license. They don't have the right to do that. I agree with that. I was using the example of where there's a car stopped on the side of the road at 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
Right.
They can shine a light, but they can't make him open his door and give a license. You can say if there's a girl tied up in there, but
yeah,
as far as you can go.
No matter if there may be cases where someone is being kidnapped, or we've seen instances where people on the side of the road,
that person on the side of the road themselves could be an outstanding warrant criminal.
Okay. Yeah, so the cop has to articulate that,
right,
and have credible reason, not just a hunch or not just a possibility for the sake of safety and security, to then ask for that. And that's what those guys are actually all talking about. And that's what the Constitution is trying to make sure is still existent within.
Okay, so what if this was a scenario, and maybe they do this, maybe they'll start doing it more because they're going to hear this video. The officer goes in there in his car, in his little computer, and he's looking at the tag of the car. Tag comes back registered to Michael Van Scoik. Shows a picture of Michael Van Scoik. Now I go over, I look in the car, I see it's Michael Van Scoik. Yeah, that's him. So I don't even have to ask for his driver's license, because that's who he is, and it's right here. They got the information already, right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's
so, that could be an approach that they could use, right? Which I'm sure. See that, and this brings up the point again that there's a lot of lack of training in law enforcement and in the law enforcement system, because we're just discussing it and we realize, well, there's an opportunity right there to not infringe upon people's rights. You look up their information. So what if they do that and they see this car's registered to Michael Van Scoik, but they see somebody else in the car and it's not Michael Van Scoik? Maybe Michael Van Scoik's car was just stolen. Great example.
So in that particular case, if the cop can clearly state that would be sufficient reason within their so-called statutory codes and in line with the Constitution.
How you doing, sir? How you doing, sir? Shine the light in his face because it's dark out. Is this your car? Yeah, it's my car.
You could say that, or you could say.
Well, it's registered to Michael Van Scoik. Are you Michael Van Scoik? Yeah, I am. Get out of the car right now. Just lied to a police officer.
Right.
You know
what I mean? What if it's somebody else and they just say, "Oh, he let me drive it."
Right.
What are you going to do then? The cop has no reason to make you get out of the car and show an ID, because you can legally borrow. You can drive on a car.
Yeah. Right, but it could also be a stolen car.
So that's murderer in there. It could be
right. So what you're saying is for the sake of freedom and liberty not being harassed at all, even though it's not really harassment, let a potential murderer get away with a girl that's 15 years old, kidnapped in the trunk right now with tape around her mouth.
If you have no reason to determine that
I just don't buy that.
Actually, what's going on?
Yeah.
If you see it,
then
there you can make them.
Yeah.
Don't see a tape.
But if you don't see a tape, and you don't see,
she could be knocked out. She could be knocked out, and she's in the trunk.
Okay. But if you don't have any reason to know that she could be knocked out, not just a hunch, or if you don't have any reason to have known that the car's been reported stolen, not just a possibility,
It's
There's
2 o'clock
no
in the
room.
morning. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. The guy, Mike's at home sleeping. This guy just stole the car, and you know,
Not
maybe he even went in Mike's house and killed Mike, and he's got Mike's wife in the back of the truck right now.
not even
Okay, so
car at 2 a.m.
That's called policing, man. That's why they become detectives. They think there's possibilities, and we're here to protect the public.
That's over.
And anybody that wants to interpret that as harassment is just wanting to jump on the bandwagon of antagonism and conflict.
I've
Because
been,
it's really simple to say, yes, sir. Yeah, here's my driver's license. No problem. Thank you, officer, for doing your job. Be safe tonight.
I've been there. I've slept in my car many, many times, and I don't want a cop coming up and forcing me to get out of my car at 2 a.m. when I'm sleeping, somewhere where I can be parked and sleeping.
because as a human being, you have the freedom to do that, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, unless the cop has sufficient cause to think that the car has been stolen or that the person is in the midst of a crime.
Mm-hmm.
That the Constitution
But
and the
that
laws
point,
are not
you
there.
made right there, that point you
Yeah.
made right there becomes relative, because people think differently. To one person, to one person, something that to them is suspicion or cause, to you it isn't. To them it is.
And that's why he has to have what they call probable cause, or in some states it's even reduced to reasonable suspicion to think
Right.
that a crime is afoot. And the Constitution and the so-called statutes are not there to give the cops more room. They're there to protect the people from being infringed upon.
Right. But short of reading the actual statute on reasonable suspicion, that becomes an ethereal term. It becomes subjective. It becomes relative to an individual cop. It might be in my reason, hey man, this car's suspicious being here. What's it doing here at 2 o'clock in the morning? Right? That there could be a human being thinking that way. It's suspicious.
There
to
is
them.
no suspicious. There's millions of cars parked all over the world at certain hours of the day with people in them.
No, not on the side of the highway where it should be
The
going
car-
65 miles an hour, or not if it's registered in somebody's name other than who's in it. That could be reasonable suspicion to somebody to want a little more.
No.
And then if they start getting the resistance, there you go. Now it's escalating. It's being escalated because of resistance. Now I'm even more suspicious. This person has something to hide. So I'm just telling you, there's people that think that way. And if reasonable suspicion is the basis, well, there you go. Because that's the way it's gonna work for some. You're never gonna be able to have the kind of what's the word I'm thinking of? What's the word of like utopian, right? You're never going to be able to have the kind of utopian freedom that people who like to push the anti-cop, give me my freedoms thing,
So
push,
you're
right?
you're almost leaning into the mask thing in that.
Oh, come on, Brian. That goes nowhere near the mask thing.
Well, I mean, you're just leaning towards it because say.
No, I'm simply leaning towards my innocence and my respect for a police officer who's a fellow human being who's putting his life on the line every day to try to make sure that society's safe, knowing that there's a bunch of criminals and creeps out there that the media has created.
We've got reasonable suspicion that you've got the virus. Therefore, you have to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
No, there is no reasonable suspicion
sure there is.
because it's just based off of an idea. It's not based off of me being sick or vomiting.
Laying in a car.
And not only that, you've got reasonable suspicion there's a virus. Well, let's prove it. You got to prove that the virus exists to begin with.
Prove
Exactly. And the cop has to prove.
Exactly.
No, a cop doesn't have to prove anything. A cop is just policing. He's not a judge. He's not a jury. And he's not making an arrest. He's investigating. He's an investigator. He's investigating a scene. He's investigating a situation that doesn't look normal. It's out of norm.
He's going to force you to get out of your car and give you your driver's license. The other cop's going to force you to just put on a mask. It's not that big a hassle. Come on. It's just
right. And there's people that'll submit to that. So that's the other side of the argument. People are submitting to that right now. But
Right.
see, me, not only am I going to be respectful of police officers and I got nothing to hide, and I'm not feeling like I'm being harassed. That in itself is a frame of mind to say I'm being harassed. It's a mindset.
But God,
So
nothing that doesn't really have anything.
my mindset's where it is on doing the right thing, which goes both ways. Because now if they try to violate my rights beyond my own ability to just be a calm, respectable person who has my rights, and I don't feel that I'm being harassed on this level. But I guess my tolerance is just my tolerance is higher because my respect is higher. My tolerance is higher because my respect for that person as a human being and a police officer is higher. So I got a higher tolerance level, so I don't have a problem showing my driver's license when it's under circumstances that may warrant it. Walking into a public library doesn't warrant it. So I even stood up on behalf of, Alex's position on not giving his driver's license the other night. And he got arrested for it, and it was wrong. Unfortunately, the supervisor undid that when he got there at my request.
Yeah, I guess maybe I've seen more cops than you on the bad side or overstepping the
No,
bounds.
because remember, I've been arrested 5 times in my lifetime. I've been falsely accused and arrested 5 times, settled on an out-of-court settlement, sat in jail for 30 days for a crime I didn't commit. So I know how bad it is. It's just, it's knowing that there's a movement that is absolutely right in there with Black Lives Matter, Antifa, anti-cop, antagonism, combative with police officers. It's a movement. And they're exacerbating it. Perhaps they've exacerbated it in your mind, just like we were saying, maybe they've exacerbated it even in Tom Barnett's mind.
That's different though. I'm all about respect and speaking nicely to him, but if the cops infringing on my right to just peaceably go about my business, that's different.
But again, you're leaving out details that aren't even here in this conversation. We don't know what that might mean. If you're just walking down the street, I'm sure the cop's not just going to say to you, "Hey guy, come over here and give me your driver's license," right? Just out of the blue. That doesn't happen.
But what we've got to come to accept and understand is that as a living entity, as a human being, you can be anywhere you want to be at any time. Just because there are lots of bad things going out in the world doesn't mean that if you're just not taking into account any other situation, if you're parked on the side of the road, anyone can come and ask you, "Hey, are you okay? What are you doing there?" Do you have to answer them? No, you do not. Does the cop have to say, "Okay, you're out here. We've got a lot of serial killers going around. I don't know if you're a serial killer. Give me your ID." No, that's where it's been enumerated in the so-called Constitution that they just can't ask for that stuff. And you don't have to provide that to protect you, to protect your capacity as a human being to be able to live your life unmolested. So these guys, delving into that and critiquing those particular videos, they're not being anti-cop. They're trying to uphold the capacity of being human instead of just being a go-alonger, a sheep or a slave, whatever you want to call it, that will innocently just relinquish their information and then end up having something placed upon them where they could be falsely arrested instead of having asserted themselves, trying to abate such any further transgression or whatever.
I totally understand everything you said, and I respect it and appreciate it. But everything you just said was predicated, again, upon a utopian concept that, by your own admission, you said put everything else, excludes all the other possibilities, excludes all the other ability for people to reason or have reasonable suspicion. It excludes all that. So yeah, if you exclude all that, yeah, it's pristine, man. It's a utopian kind of concept.
So,
but I don't. That's realistic. I'm like the ultimate realist, and I don't think that's realistic, because even when you try to use the example of just because there's serial killers, right? that's, you're putting it in a lighter sense. So it's again, it is a very, it's a very thin kind of line, you're on this side of it with the utopian approach. None of these other thoughts matter. And I'm on this side of it with, well, I understand that there could be other variables. And because there could be other variables, and these guys are police officers and they're just trying to, make sure that there's not criminals at large, and they're trying to make sure the scene's secure, that plays into their reality for what they're doing. So by acknowledging that, it goes back to the other statement. I believe, like you said, it starts there. Yeah, it starts there and it ends there. Because when it goes beyond that, because if you're courteous and polite and how you doing and having a communication, presenting some ID and showing that you're legit, your name, who I am, I live here, I'm American, I'm not a terrorist that just came in from some other country, because that could be the case too, right? I mean, it could be somebody's in here and they're not even an American, who technically don't even, deserve rights under law, technically, in my opinion, who have an atom bomb, in the back of their trunk as well. And, they've learned to speak English real good. And they're just going over to do their nasty deeds to blow up, Washington, D.C., whatever, just the fact that there are other variables. I acknowledge the other variable possibilities, and the police officers are policing. So for me, it's easier to say, it makes more sense, that it starts here with just some courtesy ID. Yeah, that's who I am. Yeah, I'm legit. No problem. I'm just here resting. I'm tired. I know for a fact that the officers would be, great, thank you, sir. Have a good evening. And they give the driver's license. But when you escalate it, turns into fisticuffs, and the police will always win.
Well, yeah, we definitely don't want to escalate it. I just don't want to give them an ID or have to get out of the car or roll down the window.
But again, right, that's going on this side.
What you're describing though, Mike, is what happens in totalitarianistic and communist
I disagree.
Particular societies.
I think you're putting that spin on it, but I don't think that's the case. Because again, to me, if it's just simply a matter of I'm providing my ID under circumstances that an officer happens to be suspicious of who I am and why I'm at this place, and just for their own satisfaction, they kind of want to get, they want me to dispel any alarm for them by courteously showing them my ID, where they would in fact bid me farewell, have a good evening, sir.
That's not my duty as an American citizen.
You cannot now take that into totalitarianism.
That's not my duty as an American citizen to dispel their uncomfortableness or their questionability. I don't have to do that as an American citizen.
That's an attitude. See, that's an attitude. I mean, and see, that's part of the problem that what Brian does. He's trying to create that attitude, which you have. There's people that naturally have that attitude. So he's trying to exacerbate that attitude and kind of help foster that anti-cop mentality.
It's just
that's what it does.
Vaccine. Come on, it's just a quarantine for 2 weeks. Come on now.
See, again, you're twisting it into something else.
Well,
you're trying to use another example.
It's a similar analogy.
That's right.
Where they're requesting something of you, and it'll just be simple, and it'll quickly be over. It'll lessen that other person's workload, but it's a gradual little relinquishment of your ability to stand as a person. So essentially, you're saying that
I'm not relinquishing my ability to stand as a person. Go ahead, keep going, Greg.
How would that not be really relinquishing your ability to, be private in your own person, where you can walk down the road and no one know who you are if you haven't done anything wrong? How would that not be? If you're saying that if a cop says, I need your ID because you're parked on the side of the road and there are a whole bunch of rapists going around, I have no reason to think that you're a rapist. You have no evidentiary circumstances surrounding you possibly being a rapist, but I need your ID.
Right, and this is where the human factor comes in, because I know how these things escalate. I've seen enough videos and I know how it works. The guy in the car, who's sleeping because he's, parking the parking lot or wherever he's at under a tree. There's two scenarios, man, every time. One is the police officer comes over and they have my attitude and they're shining the light, and the person with my attitude kind of wakes up and, hey, yeah, how you doing, officer? Yeah, what are you doing here? I'm just tired. I was driving. I didn't want to be behind the wheel. Tired. I'm just trying to catch up a little bit. Yeah, you live around here? Yeah, I just live actually down in Kendall, but I pulled off because I just got off work and I'm tired. Everything all right? Yeah, everything's fine. All right, then have a good evening. That's one.
Before you,
No, let me finish. No, because I've done that before. I've done that sleeping in my car with my son, and the officers just said, "What are you doing here?" I'm just tired. My son was with me in the car. He was 5 years old. I could have been a kidnapper. I didn't provide him ID. I didn't get out of the car. It passed off simple. Now your attitude. Here it is with your attitude. Ready? Guy sleeping in the car. Knock knock. Sir? 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 Are you okay? What do you mean, am I okay? Is it your business if I'm okay? See, it's escalating. It's starting to create an attitude where now the cop is going to get escalated. He's going to be like, oh, this guy's got an attitude. As soon as there's an attitude, you're not communicating in just a normal human tone, which they don't. I've seen it. I've seen the videos. They have an attitude. And if you have an attitude with a cop, it's going to escalate, and he's got an attitude. And then egos get involved. There's the human factor that gets tied in. Next thing you know, the cop's like, oh yeah, why is this? I need to see your driver's license. Why? Cop looks around. There's a no parking sign right there, and you're parked illegal. You got bald tires, and I need to see your registration. You know what I mean? There's a way to be on the bad side of a cop, and they're going to win. And it can escalate, and you might not get screwed bad, but you're going to get caught up in being subject to what you're calling harassment, a violation of your freedoms. But if you're just real and you're not having an attitude that's anti-cop, or you can't offend my freedoms type, it's an attitude thing. It's an attitude, and you're just talking normal. Most likely, the chances are, all right, just checking on you. Have a good evening.
I'm gonna head out, Mike. Crackerjack, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going around.
Hey,
It's going around in circles. Mike has his opinion. We have our opinion. So
Exactly.
appreciate it.
Hopefully I edified your mind tonight, Ron. You'll sleep on it and
You made it
be a
clear.
better man. Be a better man
hey,
tomorrow.
I've thought about your perspective, Mike, and
I thought about yours too.
I don't know if I can say I've lived it, but I see where people are the validity of people refusing to provide any sort of information to so-called authority figures unless they have a really good reason to do that and they've actually done something wrong. You just don't do something. It doesn't seem a good idea to just do something just for the sake of making it easier, or just for the sake of a little safety and security, whether it's for yourself or it's for the greater good. There needs to be a good evidentiary reason for anyone to impose something upon you. And that's similar to this whole COVID thing, where they're imposing things upon people just for a little sake of security, and they're using the greater population as a means of justifying it.
Yeah, see, I'd have to correct you there. They're not imposing anything on anybody. People are imposing it upon themselves. They made an offer and people have accepted it.
And that's
because if there were people like you, if there were people like you and me and Brian, a million more like us, it wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with the cop. So, okay, they're not imposing thing. They're making an offer. You've done nothing wrong. They don't have any reason to think you've done nothing wrong, but just for clear conscience, they want to make a particular offer for you to do something. And
Right.
you have to, and if you're aware within yourself, you can politely say, you know, hey, I refuse. You don't need to do that. Have a good day. And that's it.
Right.
And
but
they're
again,
not
it's
trying to
that-
be anti-cop or anything. It turns
Right.
into that because the cop press upon them and they start, you know, looking to imprison them or create other illegalities against them.
you know, it's like this, you know, you're saying they don't, but they don't, but they do. You're right. It varies with different people. And ultimately what it comes down to is the attitude of a person. Like, again, I don't feel, I know I'm not being inconvenienced or harassed if I'm in a particular situation where it's within reason for a police officer to ask for my license, even though I don't have to. It's within reason, you know, based on the circumstances. I'm not going to feel harassed. Somebody else is going to take